Hello to everyone, it's James Ray Light. God revealed to me today a set of rules for the new rules for presidency, globally and federally, which would be federal mandates and global mandates for a new global UN political and democratic resolution in 2020 to set the rules to be president of any continent or nation on Earth. Number one is the person or candidate who is running for office for president or leader or emperor or whatever, depending on what nation you're in, has to be born in the United States or country they're running for office in, and have a current and legal birth certificate and state ID, which is valid. 2, they have to have a clean legal record with no felonies. 3, they would have to be the minimum age of 44 years old and the maximum age of 67 years old, and they would have to retire at 75. Number 4, the candidate would also have to have 2 years experience as a political senator and 4 years as a mayor or a governor before being able or eligible to run for president or leader or, the highest office of their country or nation. 5 is the candidate would have to have a clean bill of health and stay in technical, medical, and weight range. Number 6, the political candidate who would be running for president or the highest office of the nation or their continent has to have a high school diploma and 1 year of college, even community college, completed before running for office. Number 7 is they have to have proven results as a senator, mayor, or governor to even be considered as a presidential candidate, meaning they have to do good on their last job as far as the actual outcomes, financially, politically, and socially, before they could be considered for another job in a higher office. 8 would be once the candidate is in office as a president or high elected official, they can't cause a genocide, start a unilateral war, or instate a draft or recruit civilians forcibly for war. Presidents should only use war, obviously, as a last option after trying to use every diplomatic option without success or resolution of legal and political conflict. Number 9 is civilians won't be conspired against by their government illegally or legally. So no war draft, no civil rights violations, no unnecessary spying or adjudication, legal adjudication or illegal adjudication. No GMOs in any of the food, in any of the consumer food or retail products made by corporations or businesses. And there needs to be also a complete moratorium or removal of the legal death penalty globally in the legal and prison systems. So you wouldn't be put to death on death row, essentially globally on Earth, which would make sense. People die in jail of natural causes probably, or unnatural causes anyhow. And number 10 is the government and president will have to follow the rules and the new laws and old laws that have been established, or they will be court-martialed immediately and be punished accordingly instead of them getting financially rewarded and politically rewarded and reelected, which has been the case basically for some time now, beside impeachment. Any candidate can still become president for 8 years as 2 single 4-year terms. So that would be number 11. So that's basically the rules that God revealed to me today. I know there's rules that are established politically, globally, socially, and legally, for the UN and for every continent and every nation and every country. I know they have rules that are established. It's just some of these people don't follow them. The candidates who actually run for president, or the CIA who puts them in office as political theater, which I'm sick of seeing that. They should not be able to just have lobbyists and dictators running for office based on corporate demands or lobbyist agendas or corporate agendas or CIA dictator agendas. None of that is the will of the people. So that's just the will of corporations, that's just the will of lobbyists, and that's just the will of the government and the CIA. Politics is supposed to represent the will of the people, which is everyone, not just the government's agendas only. So that's what I'm saying. So I believe that if people use these set of criteria of these 11 rules, they will weed out, all the bad candidates and all the people who are trying to currently run for office. Whether it's Joe Biden, who was, was in charge of vice president of Obama's campaign, which caused a $16 trillion debt. Nothing against Joe, but his record's not that good, and he has a lot of political gaffes publicly, speaking gaffes. Or a Trump re-election. He's not a politician, and he's not a senator. He never followed the legal channels to become a president. So you have to be senator for 2 years legally. I believe that was the law. That never happened. Or these women authors like Oprah and Michelle Obama, who just want to get into politics because she was falsely the vice president, or the woman who was married to Obama, so she was the first lady illegally, because Obama didn't even have a birth certificate, and because he was a criminal before he even wasn't a citizen of the U.S., or the continental U.S., regardless if he has a Hawaii birth certificate. You have to have a legal continental birth certificate, and even if his mother was born in this country, Obama was still illegal, and he still broke the rules from day one. He broke the rules before he was a president, with a whole list of conspiracies against, politics and his office and everything like that. So I'm not going to go into that now, but those are the rules that they need to establish. So they weed out people like Obama, Trump, and the future candidates of these old men who are either dictators or they shouldn't even be in politics. They're all career criminals, as their actions prove, not as what my opinion says. And people need to re-establish politics as the will of the people and as correct governing, without political conspiracy, without corporate lobbyist agendas only, and have it go back to, instead of global terrorism and corporate lobbyists and agendas of the CIA, it needs to go back to actually politics as the will of the people, as a uniform group of people on Earth, and as a global group of people, as human beings, who actually collectively decide in true democratic form, is what people lost their lives for, was to actually create nations that are built on freedom and all the properties and all the liberties and all the principles that they've tried to strip from everyone, and then tried to say that everything is a CIA dictated political theater stage paid for by corporations and corporate lobbyists. And that's not democracy. That's just CIA political theater, or it's corporate lobby interests. And I love corporations as far as the convenience and the price effect and what they can do for every nation. If corporations don't monopolize and they just sell their products at the cheapest price, and it's a convenient way to buy and sell in mass market retail markets. But that's what I'm saying. So all of this considered, is what I'm saying is those 10 criteria or 11 criteria of these new rules, I think if it's passed as a UN resolution, will help weed the garden as far as the candidates for political office, because you have too many people who think they can just run for office like thinking that it's an American Idol open casting call. And that's what's happened with the culture of America. Now people think that, if they're a book author, if they're a woman who's angry that she's not a man, like Oprah or Michelle Obama, or they were falsely elected as the first lady, that they, in some illegal conspiracy by Oprah Winfrey that they just set up, just use social media to create a campaign for Obama. All this stuff, just like Trump, you can't just will yourself to be a politician. They should actually have to have political experience of at least 6 years, because people have to go to junior high and high school mandatorily for 6 years, unless they drop out, right? So to have the highest office in any country, they should have to have a minimum of 6 years experience and actual proof, just like grades, that would have good results of the benefit of their work to the actual public that elected them, not just CIA political theater or just some nonsense of corporate lobbyists buying results. Democracy was never supposed to be reduced to global terrorism and lobbyists and corporations buying results and putting people in as CIA dictators who just have the will of the corporations, not the people. That was never supposed to happen. God willed this the wrong way, and I'm telling them this is what has to change fundamentally. Because people have to change themselves. So you can vote for someone in an office, but they would be all better off. Every civilian, every government worker is changing 3 to 10 habits that are negative about themselves, instead of just trying to change society or the world by, the functioning of society by trying to vote. But you have to do both. So that's what I'm saying. Because everyone trying to vote change is not going to happen, because it would have happened with Obama. Then the whole world would have changed. Everyone would have been healthy, and everything, all those problems would have been solved. We would have been living in utopia like he wanted to promise. But that was never possible. He was a con man who was an illegal terrorist. And what I'm saying is, Obama, he doesn't even have a legal birth certificate. He allegedly murdered Larry Sinclair and Donald Young, possibly. They were his ex-boyfriends, seemingly. He supposedly scored crack in Gurnee, Illinois, before he was president. He was a cokehead. He was a lying murderer, supposedly and allegedly. And until that's proven, but what I'm saying is he still used his office, which was illegal, because he had no continental birth certificate, to kill people with drone strikes, award himself with Nobel Peace Prizes he didn't deserve, give himself Grammys, give himself awards, and then award people, steal money through Obama for America, steal money through Acorn, steal money through the OWN network, which Oprah set all of this up as her way of conspiracy to try to become the African white slave master. But she wanted to become the African queen of America, but trying to make America an African Muslim nation that was ruled by women, is what she's tried to do. And I'm telling her, that's not the melting pot that's supposed to be equal liberty, freedom, and justice for everyone, is it? So Black Lives Matter is, yes, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. So all lives matter includes Black Lives Matter. So you're not supposed to take a country that's a melting pot, that is supposed to be a democracy for everyone, every group, every culture, every ethnicity, every religion, every spiritual practice like that, of every creed and kind, and turn it just into Oprah's country or Obama's country or Trump's country or Michelle's country. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be everyone's country. Okay? And people have gotten this wrong. And I'm sick of seeing it. I can't stand what people are doing. They're all part of the CIA, and if they're not, they're well-paid actors who are liars, who are thieves, and they're career criminals. And all of them are going to figure this out, because all their books don't matter if they're just lying criminals who have career records of stealing, killing, and lying, and then promising people things they don't deliver, and then just trying to re-elect themselves so they can stay in their Italian mansions. I love Italians, but what I'm saying is people should definitely earn what they have instead of just trying to ask for reparations, blaming people, getting free scholarships, and then lying on their entrance exams like what could have happened with Michelle Obama. And all these people is just asking for handouts and then screaming racism. And then saying that they want to blame the Jews and then say that they want their reparations and that now they have to be billionaires and run the world. When 50 years ago they couldn't even get a seat on a bus. As a poor African who couldn't afford a bus ticket, or it was a segregated society in 1960, before the civil rights movement of Martin Luther King. Thank God the civil rights movement happened, but what I'm saying is progress has enabled everyone to be socially integrated, but people are still prejudiced against each other. I'm not, as much as they are. Do you understand? So Africans are more prejudiced against Europeans than Europeans are prejudiced against Africans. But Africans think that their prejudice is okay because they're the ones who are prejudiced, and as long as they can say the N-word or they can blame white people, then it's fine. Right? Because I love Africans and black people, but I'm saying that not the ones who are selfish, ignorant, and delusional, and the ones that then say they went from being broke and now they have to own everything, be billionaires, take over the world, try to enslave everyone like Obama did with an illegal constitution, and a crackhead alcoholic Obama trying to pose as a family man when he's a terrorist from Kenya who's a Muslim radical who believes in Malcolm X and believes in any means necessary, just like Malcolm X did. And Malcolm X got shot to death by his own Muslim people, I believe. It doesn't make sense. They're promoting radicalism, they're promoting materialism, they're promoting an ignorant, racist, African-first narrative that is not the narrative of America. America and the United States and the global narrative is supposed to be everyone. It's all lives matter is what the global narrative is supposed to be. It's not just bleeding heart liberals crying for black people only. Okay, because the Chinese have had it worse. So have the Europeans who suffered the genocides by Hitler and the Holocaust, 6 million Polacks who got gassed in gas camps. The Chinese have suffered horribly as being slaves, and we buy everything from the Chinese. Right? All our electronics come from China or Pan-Asian countries. And I love the Chinese, and I'm saying thank you, because they don't get enough praise. But the Hebrews get all the praise, and they think that the Holy Land is in Israel. But I'm telling them, you buy all your electronics from China. And the Chinese believe in Taoism and Buddhism, which actually works better than Hebrew Judaism. Because the Jews have had a 6,000-year war in Israel, in Palestine, in Egypt. And the Middle East has been a hotbed of conflict, of Jewish-Arab conflict for 6,000 years. I'm saying China hasn't been perfect, but China has definitely had better results as far as how they've managed themselves and how they've been able to export all these goods to us over the last 6,000 years, or since the Silk Road, certainly. So what I'm saying is, before people put the Jews on high and the Hebrews on high, which is, you can do anything you want to, sociologically and ideologically, but I'm telling you, just remember that the Chinese is how we all use our smartphones, our computers, and just like that special I watched on Channel 11 that said you can't have a Christmas without the Chinese, without Pan-Asian countries, and without people who have worked so hard as communistic Chinese to bring us smartphones, tablets, iPhones, our TV sets, our refrigerators, everything that we use that's electronic, basically, unless it was made in America, which most of it is not. Okay, so I'm just telling people on that note to remember that. So that's great. Other than that, I have no political views, Republican or Democrat, as far as that. I've never voted. I voted for Gore once. That was just an anti-Bush vote. I'm not a Democrat. He was the only logical candidate at that point in 2000. But what I'm saying is, I myself is legally, I changed my name, so I haven't voted for anyone. Okay? As the name I changed my legal name to 10 years ago. So that's what I'm saying. So, I just wanted to make this video so you guys can watch it. And, I don't mean to rant about Obama, but he's from, he thinks he's from Cook County, but I'm from Chicago, in this general area of Illinois, of the Chicagoland area. And, they've misrepresented the whole city. The Chicago Democrats, Oprah, Obama, they're not even from Illinois or from Chicago. So my whole family was from Chicago for 100 years. They came from Germany and then they moved to Chicago after they went to New York, obviously, to come here. But what I'm saying is, this whole misrepresentation of America as only a black narrative and as a pro-woman, pro-Muslim only country, it's in an African-based country, is wrong. Okay, America was Native American Indian first, I believe, or Mayan with the Mexicans and the Latin Americans. The Africans were sold as slaves by the African government, they were sold by the African government to the Portuguese, which is Latin Americans, I believe, or, Europeans, depends on how they dictated that country's ownership, I don't know, historically. But what I'm saying is, the narrative of this country is supposed to be all lives matter and for everyone. Not to negate what the Africans have been through. They've been through hell, but so has everyone, is what I'm telling them. So have the Europeans, so have the Chinese, so have the Hebrews and the Palestinians. All of these people have been through hell, haven't they? So they've put themselves through it, and God has put themselves through it in Shalom, in God's will. And I'm telling them, it's smarter to not do these things, and these 10 rules should help, or 11 rules, excuse me. So have a good Sunday. Bye.